Hi everybody. So the sound should be coming in better today because I turned the air conditioner off first. I think that's why it was a little garbled in some of the other videos. I didn't even think of it. Sorry about that. But my quarantine is almost done and I will be here at least a month or two. So it will definitely justify having to do this. Maybe more than 2 months, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I leave it up to where I decide to go. You guys know me. I'm a free spirit, and with groundedness and understanding that we need to still support ourselves and live in a way that we can do that, I let the universe, God, Goddess, especially Goddess, show me where I should be. So for now, I'll be here a month or two, maybe more. I don't know. This is a temporary home because wherever I have my energy and I feel grounded in myself is home for me. I don't have a permanent home right now, which can be kind of scary, but it's exciting too. And don't worry about me. I have a place to stay if I need to, but as far as me wanting to stay there, I don't want to. So anywhere I go for an extended period of time is home. So let's get into the messages. I want to talk about the theme of these messages today because it does have to do with what's going on in the collective. And people can say to me as much as they want, Naomi, why do you have to get political on us? I don't want this channel to be about politics. Well, guess fucking what? It's not about politics anymore. It's about either being awake or asleep. It's about being spiritual, having a human existence, or just being human and walking asleep in your ego mind all the time and not being awake to what is going on in this earth. I put up a post today. Hi, Frida. Hi, Veronica. Hi, Gigi. Yes, I am doing very well, Gigi. My quarantine is almost done, so I'm very happy that in a few days I will be out and about. So that probably means less live videos and more recorded where you get to see what I've been doing because I don't like doing lives when I'm in public. It's distracting. But yeah, so it's exciting. And if you guys would like to order your full moon reading, the full moon where I am right now is actually on the night of August 2nd. It's not the 3rd. I believe it's the 2nd as opposed to the 3rd, not the 1st. It's on August 2nd. Because my time zone is exclusive to where I am right now. There's a time zone for only this location in the world. And so their full moon actually comes a little bit earlier than the rest of the world, or the other side of the world that I used to be on. So if you would like to order one, I will be doing them August 2nd and sending them sometime August 3rd. I can't guarantee when August 3rd because I'm still getting adjusted to this time difference here. So, and I will be doing the part of the intention before sundown at the water, which will be around 6 p.m. because I don't really feel safe sitting out at the beach, hanging out there all night in the dark by myself. So it'll be at 6 p.m. that I will bury your intention into the ocean, but I will do the main reading part of it in the place I'm staying and living at for now. I'll do the main reading part of it inside the place because I give a free reading with the spell in case you guys don't know if you've never ordered one. I'm filling up right now. I've already got several emails for spells. So if you'd like one, I'm just reminding you guys. If not, that's fine. Just watch Naomi Tarot. And that's all. If you want more information, go to the website, naomitarot.com. So the way this world is set up now is to allow everybody, or not allow everybody, but to push everybody into the vibration of fear and the vibration of not enough and the vibration of competition and the vibration of suspicion and the vibration of being so scared that people are policing one another now. And yes, I am following a rule that I have to now because I would rather not pay a large fine and I have no control over what governments choose to do. So I have to follow this rule that I'm following right now. But as far as, walking in fresh air with a mask on, I don't believe in that. I've already shared this with you guys. Out of respect for other individuals, I will wear a mask in buildings, but as soon as I get out in the fresh air, I do not wear one, and I don't believe in it. And I don't care if I'm even in a city, I won't do it in the fresh air. But of course, in businesses, I will. That's just my take, my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do. Do what you want, but this is my opinion. And many who are still living asleep in a spiritual existence and not fully realizing they're connected spiritually. Spirituality is not just about the frou-frou happy stuff like some people seem to think, law of attraction, and I'm only in the light, and that's dark to talk about that, Naomi. It's not about being dark. Sometimes we have to integrate and recognize the dark in order to surpass it, in order to move past it, in order to wake others up and help them. And part of my job here on the earth is as probably a late coming indigo. The indigos were mostly, I think, born in the late 60s and the 70s. I was born in the 80s. So I'm a late coming indigo child, light worker. And part of my job is to work through the darkness and work through that and rise above it. The Celtic goddess Morrigan was the goddess of death and very, very rebellious and rose above those dark things and would join people in battle and fighting things. So darkness is not always something that we should just shun and run from. We have to understand how to fight it and how to stand up to it and look it in the eye, right? So what is going on right now? If you look back to other time periods in history, and this is going to be relevant to the cards I pulled for every element. If you look back to different time periods in history, think about all of the other pandemics that we've had, right? And I'm not going to name the current one we're in right now. Please don't in the comment section because it does affect my channel and I already am being monitored. So I'd like to keep this channel on this platform. So I have to be careful, but I do feel like it's part of my duty to talk to people about this. So I am still talking about it, filtering the words I use. Different pandemics we've had in the past, think of them. Smallpox, tuberculosis, right? Polio. Polio is a great example. That affected actually mostly children and sometimes paralyzed some of them. But look back in history to this. This was as late, I believe, as the 1960s or 70s. I'm not sure when they got the vaccine, but it was recent history. Ask yourself this question. I just want you to ask yourself this, to critically think about this. And I put this in my community section for all of you guys to look at the video explaining what polio is and how it's transmitted and what it does to the body. It was a very scary disease, and it was particularly even scarier than what we're dealing with now because it affected children. But ask yourself this: did we shut down the world because polio was going around? No, we didn't. Did we tell people they had to be scared of others and report one another and wear a mask at all times or you're not contributing to the better good of everybody else? Did we shame them? No, I don't think we did. I didn't live during that time, but I haven't heard about any global lockdown when we had polio going around. Polio can be transmitted, and I looked this up on a credible scientific website. I can quote the website it is under the community section where I put that quote in. But it can be transmitted through droplets in the air. Sound familiar? It can be transmitted through surfaces. Sound familiar? So why is this being treated so much differently, this thing right now, than things like polio from the past, which is a great example, than things like tuberculosis? You have to ask yourself that. It's not about validating whether this thing is real or not. It's absolutely real. Does it kill people? Yes, it does. I'm not in the camp that says just because there's something wrong with making people police each other and silence them, literally with a covering, by the way, that's to silence you, I feel. That's to silence you. Remember, look deeper on the spiritual plane. That is to silence you, not protect you. And if you want to use it for protection, do it. I'm not telling you what not to do. I don't want people coming at me, blaming me for why they didn't wear something. Wear it if you want, wear it if you feel safe, wear it if you feel comfortable. Do what your free will tells you what to do. But do it because you want to. But what is the purpose of something covering here sometimes? What is that? It's to silence you. It's to stop you from speaking. It's symbolic of silencing your voice. Because people didn't walk around with something over their face all the time during the time of polio. They also didn't report one another. They also didn't live in their homes in fear, as I'm hearing from some individuals I've actually spoken to saying they haven't come outside since February. Since February. This is what it's doing to people who are not awake. This is what it's doing to people who would rather live in fear than actually live life. Because we are meant to breathe air. We're meant to do things. We are meant to live life. We are not meant to live in fear. And yes, does it kill people? Yes. Can it be deadly? Yes. But many other things that are transmitted through surfaces, through droplets, and through the air can be deadly as well. Many other things. So what makes this different then tuberculosis when it was bad in this country and other countries, then polio when it was bad in this country and other countries. What makes it different? Because the consequences of not wearing a mask, of not reporting your neighbor, of not following all the rules, of not locking down, the consequences are what they want to give to you, to instill fear in you, to control you. If you don't do this or else, you'll get a fine if you don't do that. I'm experiencing avoiding consequences right now. I'm staying inside because I don't want a fine. It's affecting me. But in what ways I don't want it to let it affect me, I won't, right? And it's not that just because it's affecting me doesn't mean I know what's really going on underneath the surface with all of these governments. And it's not just at the state level, it's at the governmental level, it's at the global level. Okay? So just because you're awake, I don't want you to go around putting yourself in compromising situations to get a fine, to get in trouble. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying in ways that you feel comfortable, in ways that you want to say, I don't obey, I don't submit, I don't wear this thing that silences me, then do it in those ways you feel comfortable in. But I want you to just think about different things from the past, different things that came out, different things that humanity faced. Did we approach it the same way we are now? And you have to ask yourself the question, why are we approaching it like this as a collective in humanity right now? And those that are asleep, which unfortunately I do believe is most people I come across, immediately when you bring this up to them, they want to say to you, oh, but you can't say it's like the flu. Did I ever say it's like the flu? They automatically assume you want to dismiss the whole thing and say it's not real. That's not what I'm about. I'm not dismissing it as real. I'm not dismissing scientific evidence that says it's real and nurses that I know who said it's real. I have one in my family, my brother. I have a very close nurse in my family. But what I am dismissing is it necessary to do all the things that they did? And that's about critical thinking, and that's about thinking in the middle ground. Because one side will be so far right, they'll say, oh, it's nothing to worry about, and nobody's dying, and all the hospitals are empty, and it's just like the flu, right? That's the far right. But the far left is what got us into this situation in the first place. So that side is sick too. You're only as sick as your problems. And this actually is a mental sickness, what we're seeing. More than anything else, besides a physical illness that is going around, is a mental illness of, I'm sorry, mostly people who fall on the far left. And because I don't prescribe to either side, because I really truly fall in the middle, because I don't go with the far right that wants to silence women, that wants to control women, that wants to, condemn gays and say there should be no social service safety nets and tell people that it's just a little flu and it's nothing to worry about. Because I don't prescribe to that side, but I certainly don't prescribe to the far left, people don't know how to react to that. And they say, oh, well, it's not just a flu if they're on the left, and if they're on the right, it's like, oh, it doesn't kill anybody. So nobody really gets it. It's about being able to think in the middle, because the truth often lies somewhere in the middle. It does not lie on one extreme. It does not lie on the other extreme. And yes, something can be perfectly real. And yes, it could have a death rate like other things do as well. But that doesn't mean it is necessary to crash an entire economy for this world, to put people who are already poor in destitution, to increase the homeless level, to increase the hunger level, to increase the unemployment level. I don't make a ton of money what I do, but I thank God, and I am so lucky to be able to make money online doing multiple things that I do. I do life coaching. I do this. I also work for a call line that sends me psychic and life coaching calls for a business. I can't say the name of it because I can't include it with what I do here. I'm fortunate for that, but just because I'm so fortunate that I can do that, even though I don't make a lot, I wouldn't go around and tell people, oh yeah, you should shut everything down because you can just work from home. You know how privileged that is? If you want to talk about privilege, the number one privilege in this world is not racial privilege, is not even sexual privilege. It's not based on man and woman. It's economic privilege. And that covers every race, every background, every ethnicity, every religion, and every culture. A great example. You could have somebody like Oprah or Barack Obama, and you can have a poor white family in West Virginia who lives with a dirt floor. And I'm not dismissing that there are minorities who are poor. There absolutely are, right? Especially in the United States. But this is just go to prove that poverty and economic disparity can cover everybody. So at the expense of something that is transmitted Similarly to what I understand as other diseases as polio, and I don't think, according to Dr. Buttar, the doctors that I watch, it's not even quite as contagious or hasn't been completely proven to be quite as contagious as things like tuberculosis, which didn't cause the whole world to shut down. Yet we are shutting down because of this. We are shutting everything down. We are impoverishing people. There are some people who are eating one meal a day if they're lucky now at this point, and they have a whole family at home. There are people who are facing eviction. There are people who are 6 months behind in rent now, 4 months, 6 months, something like that. It's an arbitrary number, but it still is a lot of months behind, so I don't want people correcting me like, oh, no, it hasn't been 6 months. Whatever. They're behind in their rent. They're destitute. That is covering everybody. That is not just covering one race, one background. And you see, what's done is, and I challenge everybody to rise up and take their power back and to realize that they had it all along, is what they've done is they've made people forget that that's what they can all have in common, right? And you know how they've made people forget that? Oh, well, first they terrified everybody because of the thing. And then step 2 was to suddenly pay attention to the death of a Black man who was killed unjustifiably by the police, who was murdered by the police. Yes, I acknowledge he was murdered wrongly by the police. It was awful what happened to him. I acknowledge that. Yes, he did bad stuff in his past. Yes, he had armed robbery, and he allegedly pointed a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. Yes, he did those things, allegedly. But it still doesn't mean another life should be taken away. It was wrong what happened to him, but you have to ask yourself the question, and I've said this before on the channel. Why now did they pay attention to that? Because there are, mark my words, other deaths of people of color by police brutality, as well as all people of police brutality. There are many deaths, but if we want to just focus on people of color, there are many other deaths from police brutality. So you have to ask yourself the question. It's not about his life being justified or not. Of course, it's a human life. His life was valuable, right? He had a family. He had relationships with people who knew him. He had a life, right? But it's about why now? Why did you choose now? And you know what's interesting about that is because then it distracts everybody off of the underlying theme that we're all in this together. We are all facing this economic hardship together, except those who are lucky enough where it didn't affect them that much. And I can tell you, even people who own their own businesses online, it affected all of us. It's just that some people were affected more. But why now? To bring in the issue of race, to separate people further. That's what it was about. It was to separate people further because what all people had in common, what all people do have in common is there are people with money. There are people with a medium amount of money. And then there are a large amount of impoverished people of all races. And that is the commonality. That is the commonality that people could find to resist against what's going on right now, to resist against the destitution that has been caused by the shutdown, the economic poverty that has been caused by the shutdown. And what does that do to bring up race at that moment in time is to distract people from that common unity. So I ask people to critically think. Part of our responsibility as spiritual people is not just to say, frou, law of attraction, I get what I give, and everything is positive and smiles. Yes, that's great. Manifest your life like that. I'm partially living law of attraction right now. I choose to go to a place where I am attracted to water. You know, it's in my genetics. I'm Irish and Scottish. It's a different kind of water where my ancestors are from, but they were surrounded by water too. A lot of ancient spirituality that I practice has to do with water because of that. Has water goddesses. You know, there are water goddesses here represented in this culture that I'm going to talk about when I have a chance to go outside to represent this culture. But you can live like that, and I'm living on that law of attraction vibration, manifesting where I desire to be. I'm here right now. That's a law of attraction. But that doesn't mean I or you should ignore what is going on in this world and should just shut up and take it and should just act like it's not happening and should just be ignorant to it. Because if we are ignorant, if we keep our mouths closed, if we don't say anything, if we don't offer anything to the collective to say we're awakened to it, then we're just going on along with the rest. If you follow the herd, there's a saying, and it says, if you follow the herd, you will get led to the slaughterhouse. And that is what we see a lot of people doing and not realizing and not being awake to. So I just ask you all to awaken, take your power back, and in small ways or large ways, whatever you feel comfortable with. Don't accept all the fear. Don't allow the fear to take you over. Don't allow the fear to control your life. You may want to look into eating healthier or taking some kind of supplements at the very least that are natural. You can watch Dr. Buttar and Dr. Shiva for that. I am not a doctor, so I don't want to sit here recommending things or being liable for that. But I will say for myself, I take mushroom supplements, I take vitamin D, and I take vitamin C. You can watch Dr. Buttar or Dr. Shiva for that. Okay? But I'm not telling you you should take that. Speak to your own doctor as well. But do what you can do to take care of your body. It's also about prepping your body, taking care of your body so your immune system is strong, not sitting in fear. Oh, the way I'm going to do it is just avoid it for the rest of my life. And good for you, those people who are privileged enough to do that, but not everybody is. Some people need to go out and go to work. Some people need to find a way to make money somehow. They cannot sit inside for the rest of their lives. And if that's not what you want to do, even if you can sit inside and you have the privilege to do so, don't do it. But it's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. Let me add that in. It's up to you. This is all opinion. It's not fact. Although some of it could be, but I can't say that on this channel. So let's get into the signs. And on my Patreon, I'm going to be doing the individual signs. So I'm just doing earth, air, water, fire on here. And when I go on Patreon, I'm going to do like Virgo, Cancer, Capricorn, each sign individually. So you get the individual signs on Patreon. On here, you're just going to get earth, air, water, fire for August. Okay? So tuberculosis was highly contagious, Veronica. That was highly contagious. There are certain, and especially according to the doctors that I watch, there are diseases that were very contagious. Smallpox is another one that was highly contagious. And I understand what you're saying, but that's why I'm using the other diseases as examples throughout history. There are other diseases that were highly contagious, and the human race is still existing. We're still in existence, you know? And yeah, I know of people who died. I'm not denying it's real. It absolutely is real. But this is not a way to run a society. This is not a way to run a society. This will not work in the long term. But you can have your opinion, and I'm not mad at you for having it. But, you know, I'm sharing what I think. So, and thank you for saying that. That was very nice of you. I did my hair today, yeah. Thank you. So, now I am going to do the signs, and we're going to start with earth, because when you do a chant, it's earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, fire. So I'm going to start with earth, air, water, fire. That's why I always start with earth signs. Okay, so we're only going to do uprights. I just feel like it lately for only doing uprights. If you're an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, you are getting more and more in touch with those unseen things in the world, with those things that you can't touch but you know to be true, with the other dimensions, with as above, so below energy. The Fountain is much like the Magician card in this deck. It's very much about knowing that something is possible without having to see it, knowing that you're capable of doing something without having to see it in real time, knowing that anything is possible and that you are the creator of your universe. So this is very much law of attraction energy, right? This is very much energy talking about your ability to use your thoughts, your passions, your emotions, because it's not just about thoughts, it's about passionately believing something and creating reality for yourself, right? And this is you grasping this new opportunity, Page of Pentacles, Prince of Pentacles, and saying, I'm going to take this. And it's also earth sign energy because it's Pentacles. I'm going to grasp this opportunity by the hands. And maybe you've been carrying around a burden, 10 of Wands. Maybe you've been carrying around something lately that hasn't been so great, whether it's emotional, financial, whether it's just maybe depression. You don't know why you've been sad, or you don't have a particular reason for it. But something big, some big change either has shaken up your life in the recent past, the Tower, or will shake your life up. And it's to wake you up, and it's to shake you out of the sleep. And I'm not just talking about what's going on in the collective that I mentioned earlier with the thing. I'm talking about in general. It could be like a divorce. It could be moving. It could be losing a job. It could be choosing to leave a job. It could be choosing to do something different. It could be, I need to shake up my life and move from the city to the country, or move from the country to the city. Whatever. It's something big that shook you up in the recent past or will shake you up. And you're walking away from something. And because you take that leap to walk away from someone or something, and have that strength and have that courage to do so, and have that passion, because it involves passion in a way. Yes, you might have felt like you were in this energy of lulls or blues or depression, or something was making you feel down, right? Because you have that energy of the 10 of Wands, those heavy burdens we carry. But it's the passion that gets you out of it, that propels you forward to walk away from something that you no longer want, that is no longer serving you, or you're just done with it in your life right now. And, Spirit's pushing you to say, here's your celebration. Here's your 3 of Cups. So something good is on the horizon for you in August, Earth sign, something positive, replacing the old with the new. And you're going to realize that walking away was the best decision you could have made. And maybe it's something you already walked away from. And in hindsight, you're going to realize hindsight will be in August saying, oh, that was a good decision, because now I can celebrate this. Now I can embrace this. Now this is coming to me. And I feel such a weight lifted off of me. And I feel so much more, so much lighter than I did before, and at peace. And in order to, if you haven't walked away yet, in order to walk away, it's going to take some level of passion to do that. Because when you're walking away, often you're focused in another direction. You're focused towards somewhere else. You're focused towards the horizon. And it's that single-minded focus that involves that 9 of Wands, perseverance and passion. Look up that card, because that's not one of these cards, but that's what comes to mind when I think of that drive and focus and perseverance. It's 9 of Wands, right? The 8 of Cups pushes you away from something that no longer serves, and the 9 of Wands says, here, because you persevered, now we're giving you the 3 of Cups, that celebration, that enthusiasm, that joy. So now we're going to go on to air signs. And I picked 6 cards for each element. So each one has 6. I just felt like that was a good number today. An air sign says that there is something you've been frustrated by lately, 7 of Wands, that you need to overcome, or that you're overcoming. And it's not something horrible, but it's something that's been like on your nerves or on your mind, and like being pesky lately. It's like, okay, when am I finally going to have this, overcome this, or learn this better? Or maybe it's a task at work that you need to learn better. Maybe it's something you have to overcome with school if you're in school, or maybe something with a difficult family member, friend, or lover. It's some hurdle that you have to overcome. And now you're figuring out how to put the last piece of the puzzle together. You're becoming more clear on how to make this breakthrough. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this differently. I'm planning my next steps. I'm planning ahead. I'm more sure of what I want in the future. I'm more sure of what direction I'm going in. I'm more decisive. And I've got to let go of what no longer serves me. I've got to learn how to juggle priorities better. I've got to learn how to not overwhelm myself, 7 of Cups, with too much, right? Until a point where I'm just sitting here looking at them spinning around my head like this woman. She looks like she's in a daze, and she's just watching them spin around her head. Like, she's not picking one cup. She's just letting them spin around in a circle, right? Focus and direction, and knowing where and when to direct that passion. Because air signs, you have a unusual amount of passion lately. Maybe you have some fire in your chart or water in your chart, and you've got like this plan for the future, or something that you've been wanting to do. And you're finally figuring out what the last piece of the puzzle is for it this month. And you're finally saying, okay, you know what? I was frustrated. I didn't get it, but now I'm finally making this breakthrough, and I'm going to implement it. So you're going to start to see the last pieces of the puzzle fall together with something you've been trying to figure out. And you're going to see that happen. I just wanted to put those over there so they didn't blow away off the balcony. And you're going to see that start to fall together in August, like the last pieces of the puzzle, the last things that you needed to learn to make this breakthrough with something. It might be business you're trying to start. It might be the type of person you want to attract. You're going to start to find out what really works for you in a relationship. Maybe you weren't even clear on that, because some people, they have all these wants for a partner, but they're not realizing what they need. And then when they realize what they need, the last piece falls together. Water signs, Judgment is your first card, and the Chariot is your second card. So Judgment talks about karma. It can talk about good or bad karma. You reap what you sow. It can also talk about karmic lessons that we learn in our life because of past lives. So karma can be the type that we think of colloquially, that says, you know, you do this to somebody, you do them dirty, then something's going to happen to you. But it's a lot more complicated than that. It's not just, oh, you do bad things, you get bad things. You do good things, you get good things. You know, it's complex. And in my understanding, especially in different religions, depending on the religion that it is, it can also refer to past lives and what was done in your past lives and what you carry on into this life. And so maybe your karma from a past life is now steering your direction into somewhere else, into a new direction, into more prosperity. Maybe it's about you leaving behind an old karmic pattern and going towards your inner peace and going towards possibly a new location. It could be, if it's not a new location, it's just towards more abundance. The world can also mean abundance. I think of the World card more as the Sagittarius card, even though the Temperance card is Sagittarius's card. It's not really appropriate to Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is not one to use temperance. They're very much like risk takers. They travel the world. They love the world. They're like the quintessential global citizen, right? And so this could represent Sagittarius as well. Maybe you're going towards a Sagittarius. You're leaving behind past karmic patterns, and you're going towards somebody with Sagittarius energy. If they're not a Sagittarius, it might act like one. If not, it could be that you're going towards perhaps a new location, or you're going towards a new opportunity or some better luck that's going to bring you some inner peace and bring you some more prosperity. And it was leaving behind those old karmic patterns that were no longer working for you, and realizing something that kept repeating itself for a reason was because you had these residual patterns that needed to be let go of, and you're starting to see what those patterns are in August. And you're starting to say, okay, I'm going to break this pattern now. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to stop letting that old energy control my life. And I'm going to move towards this abundance and expansion, because the world can also represent expansion, abundance, taking risks. Fire signs. Well, fire signs actually got, well, there's 7 cards for fire signs, but that might be because I took out too little for the other one, but that's okay. Whatever's meant is meant. Okay, so fire signs, you might be being asked to return to a nostalgic place in August, and that might mean returning to something that reminds you of home, or literally returning to home. So returning to where your roots are, your origins are, family. Returning to that, and knowing that sometimes in order to get results, we've got to put in effort. Things aren't always going to come easy. You know, you will get the results, you will reap the rewards, but it's going to take a lot of effort, careful determination, earth energy, Queen of Pentacles, either that, or you're going to be meeting an earth sign soon that's either going to help you along your journey somehow as a friend, or they're going to be somebody that you fall in love with. Or if you don't fall in love with them, like I said, they could be somebody who supports you on your journey as a good friend, a soulmate friend. And this is after a period of uncertainty and waiting you've had for some time, fire signs. And finally, you feel like now you can build this future. You have these opportunities coming to you, and you're starting to feel this deeper emotional fulfillment, emotional happiness, emotional completeness that you hadn't felt before. And you're feeling a little softer, more in your feminine energy, because air signs and fire signs tend to be androgynous, fire signs tend to be masculine, and earth and water signs tend to be feminine. Not all of them, but most of them. And so you're getting more in touch with this water energy, this feminine, and this return to nostalgia, and maybe returning to how you used to be, or returning to some old things that you used to love and taking a pause and passions. Either that, or you're returning quite literally to a childhood home. And you might meet a Queen or King of Pentacles there, or it's possible you could meet a Queen or King of Cups there. And they could be a very good friend that's a soulmate connection as a friend, or a soulmate connection as a lover. And you see this expansive, yet stable, yet exciting future with them. And you see this thing that you hadn't seen with so many people in such a long time. Either that, or it talks about who you're becoming. So after this time of waiting, either you meet this person or you become this person. You start to tap into these water and earth energies, these feminine qualities of pause, of waiting, of contemplation, of reflection. And it has something to do with this return to nostalgia, either literally returning to a nostalgic place, or in your heart returning to the nostalgia of who you were and getting to know yourself again. So fire signs, it's not really an action month, it's a reflective month for you. And yes, you're going to have to put in effort and work to get results in something, but I think that this talks less about actual work and more about work on yourself and work on the part of yourself that you don't always reap material rewards from. So more so the soul side of yourself. Reaping rewards and benefits from the soul, not just through the ego. Both are necessary. The ego is necessary to work, to have a job, to make money. The soul is necessary to have that connection to the earth, to God, to Goddess, to the elements, to our connection to others, to our intuition and our knowingness of what's truly going on. So in many ways, I think you're going to be awakened to yourself again, fire signs, awakened to the truth of who you really are, and possibly awakened to the truth of somebody else and seeing yourself in that person as a friend soulmate or a lover soulmate, and awakening from this hanged man period at the end of the month, and then being ready to take action again. Literally, not just reaping spiritual rewards, but reaping physical rewards in the month of September later on. So it's August is a very contemplative and spiritual month for you. There's a strong energy of analyzation, pause, Hermit, and Death card. So I think of Virgo and Scorpio for you, fire signs. Those are the energies influencing you in August. So that's it. I'm going to get off of here because I have to meet with somebody on Skype to do a session in a few minutes. So I appreciate all of you. I'm going to try to go through the comments really quick because I can't stay on. And again, I appreciate you, Gigi, Veronica. You know, even if I have a difference of opinion, I'm not trying to shame you on my channel for anything. I want to make that clear. You can have a difference of opinion. That's fine. I appreciate you for coming. And Frida, I appreciate you for coming. Everybody else who's watching who didn't comment. Luann, thank you as always for coming. And, you know, you're welcome. And you guys are really sweet and supportive. And that's it. I will talk to you all later. If you have a question about anything I offer, just email me if you can't figure out my website. And I will talk to you all later because I'm going to go Skype now. All right. Bye.